Hey everyone, welcome back to Story Lounge. Hope you all are doing well today. For today's story, the title is I slept with my sister's husband, helped him raise the daughter we stole from her, and now, 14 years later, her son wants my kids to get nothing after everything we built. Now, let's get into this one. Hope you enjoy.
Hi, I already know how this sounds. I'm not pretending I'm innocent or that I'm going to come out of this looking good, but I need actual advice because this is starting to affect my kids and I don't know how to deal with it anymore. I'm 36. My older sister, Marielle, is 39. Her ex-husband is now my husband, Gareth. He's 41. 14 years ago, they had a baby together, a girl named Ilara. She's 14 now. Before Ilara, my sister already had a son, Caspian. He's 17 now. He's not Gareth's biological son. Marielle had him before she met Gareth. Gareth was around for a few years while Caspian was younger, but he was never legally his dad, no adoption or anything like that. Their relationship was always kind of distant, not bad, just not close. Back then, I lived really close to them, same area, maybe 10 minutes away. I had a flexible schedule, worked part-time, so I was around a lot. I'd stop by after work, help with errands, babysit sometimes. It was normal at first. When Ilara was born, everything changed. Marielle didn't handle it well. I didn't understand it at the time, but looking back, it was clearly postpartum depression. She wasn't herself. She was quiet, withdrawn, barely engaged. Some days she wouldn't even get out of bed unless someone pushed her to. The house felt tense all the time. Caspian was old enough to notice it too, which made things worse. I started going over more. Not because anyone asked me to at first, just because it felt like they needed help. I'd cook, clean, take care of the baby, sit with Marielle even when she didn't really talk. Gareth was working full-time and trying to hold everything together, but he was clearly overwhelmed. That's when me and Gareth started talking more. At first, it was just normal conversations, venting, talking about how things felt off, how stressful everything was. It was always late at night after everyone else had gone to bed. I told myself it was harmless because we weren't doing anything physical. It didn't stay that way. I'm not going to go into details, but it crossed a line. It wasn't a one-time thing either. It went on for a few months. We both knew it was wrong, but at the time it felt like we were just coping with everything going on in the house. Marielle found out. I always thought if something like that happened, there would be a huge fight. Screaming, anger, something like that. That's not what happened. She just shut down. I remember it really clearly. She didn't yell at me. She didn't even really look at me. It was like something in her just gave up completely. Within a few days, she left. She packed a bag, took Caspian with her, and went to stay somewhere else. I didn't know where at first. What stuck with me at the time was that she didn't take Ilara. She said she couldn't handle the baby. Gareth filed for divorce pretty quickly after that. Then everything turned into a custody situation. He filed for primary custody of Ilara. His argument was that Marielle had already left the child behind and wasn't in a stable place mentally to take care of her. There were doctor visits involved. Family knew she was struggling, so it wasn't hard to build that case. I was part of it. I testified. I talked about what I saw in the house, how she was acting, how she struggled to care for Ilara. I didn't lie, but I didn't exactly present things in a way that helped her either. Marielle did fight for custody, but not in a way that really stood a chance. She was still dealing with everything, trying to get herself stable again. In the end, the court decided. She kept full custody of Caspian. Gareth got primary custody of Ilara with limited visitation for Marielle, especially at the start, so the kids ended up split. Caspian stayed with Marielle. Ilara stayed with Gareth. Not long after that, I moved in with Gareth. I know how that looks. It was fast. It was messy. At the time I justified it by saying everything was already broken, but I'm not going to pretend it didn't make things worse. The divorce finalized about a year later. After that, Gareth and I got married. From that point on, I was basically Ilara's main mother figure. She was still really young, so she grew up with me there every day, feeding her, taking her to school, everything. At some point she started calling me Mama Danny. No one corrected it. It just stuck. Marielle was still in the picture, but it was different. Structured visits, tension every time she came around, a lot of awkwardness. It never felt natural. Caspian, on the other hand, grew up with Marielle full-time. He'd come around occasionally when he was younger, but as he got older, it became less and less. So they basically grew up in two separate households, two completely different versions of the same situation. Fast forward to now. Gareth and I have two kids together. Soren is 12 and Nikita is 9. We've built a life, a house, savings, a small business we started together years ago. I've worked, contributed, been part of all of it. It's not like I just showed up and benefited from his life. We built things together over time. Things have been mostly stable for years, not perfect, but stable. Marielle rebuilt her life. She's doing better now. We don't have a relationship, but there's been some level of distance that made things manageable. Caspian has always been around in the background, polite when he had to be, but not close with us, especially not with me. Recently that's changed. He's 17 now, and he started digging into everything that happened back then. Old court documents, timelines, details I honestly thought no one would ever go back to. And he's angry. Not just generally angry, but specifically at me. At Gareth too, but mostly at me. He's been saying that Alara was taken from Marielle when she was at her lowest point, that the whole custody situation was manipulated, that things weren't as simple as they were made to look back then, and it's not just private anymore. He's been talking to Alara about it. At the same time, Gareth has been working on his will and sorting out finances long term. Nothing unusual, just planning ahead. But Caspian has inserted himself into that too. He's been telling Alara that she deserves more, that she's the one who was wronged in all of this, and that my kids shouldn't benefit equally from a life that came out of something like this. And now Alara is actually listening to him. That's what's changed everything. She's not acting the same with me anymore. She's quieter, more distant. She watches me in this way that makes it feel like she's rethinking everything she grew up with. I don't even know what she's been told exactly, but I can tell it's enough to shift how she sees me, and I don't know how to deal with that. I'm angry, I won't lie about that, because at the same time, I'm looking at my own kids, who are completely innocent in all of this, and now there's this idea being pushed that they should somehow get less, or be treated differently, because of something that happened before they were even born. That doesn't feel fair to me. I've been there for Alara her whole life. I raised her, I stayed, I built a life with Gareth that all of our kids are part of. So now I'm sitting here wondering if none of that actually matters. Because suddenly it feels like everything is being pulled apart again, over something that happened 14 years ago, and I don't know how to fix it this time.
Story Lounge opinion. Op has done some of the worst betrayals I've heard. OP herself knows that she doesn't deserve anything that she has, as well as her snake of a husband. OP deserves all the karma, and the daughter deserves to know the truth about how they treated her real mother and pushed her out of her life. I hope the brother comes through for her, because the way OP hurt her sister, knowing full well the situation, is disgusting.
Update 1. I read through a lot of the replies on my last post. I didn't expect people to be on my side, but I also didn't expect how many people said I was leaving things out or making it sound cleaner than it was. They're not wrong. I think I've been telling the same version of this story for so long that I stopped questioning it. It's just what I've repeated in my head and to other people whenever it came up, and over time it started to feel like the full truth when it wasn't. So I'm going to be more direct about things. Marielle didn't just leave and give up Alara, she was not okay after the birth. It wasn't just her being distant or not coping. There were actual doctor visits. My parents knew, Gareth knew, I knew. People were worried about her. At the time, I didn't think about it beyond how it was affecting the house and the baby. I wasn't thinking long-term or what it meant for her as a person. I was just focused on what was happening in front of me. When everything came out about the affair and she left, that wasn't happening in isolation. She was already in a really bad place mentally. And when Gareth filed for custody, that became the center of everything. We didn't lie in court, but we definitely leaned into it. Everything we said was technically true, but it was presented in the worst possible way for her. Every bad day, every moment she seemed disconnected, every time she struggled with Alara, it all got used to paint a picture that she wasn't capable of being a parent at that time. We didn't talk about the fact that she was trying to get help. We didn't talk about how recent everything was. We didn't talk about how temporary it might have been. We focused on what made Gareth look like the stable option, and it worked. She lost primary custody of Alara. She kept Caspian, which made sense at the time because he was older and already with her when she left, but Alara stayed with Gareth. At the time, I told myself it was the right outcome, that Alara needed stability and we were giving her that. I'm not as sure about that now. Another thing people brought up was contact. Marielle didn't just disappear after that. She did try to see Alara, especially in the beginning, but because Gareth had primary custody, he controlled how that looked. Visits were scheduled, limited, sometimes supervised depending on what was going on at the time. And I didn't push back on any of that. If anything, I supported it. I told myself we were protecting Alara from confusion or instability, but looking back, we weren't exactly making it easy for Marielle either. So no, Alara didn't just naturally choose me over her. That's something I've had to actually admit to myself recently. Now about what's happening now. Caspian has basically gone through everything. I don't know exactly how he got all of it, but he has copies of court documents, timelines, and somehow he got access to old messages between me and Gareth from before Marielle left, so he knows the affair started earlier than we always said. He didn't come to me with it. He went straight to Alara. From what I understand, he didn't yell or make a scene. He sat her down and walked her through everything step by step. When the relationship started, what was happening with their mom at the time, how the custody case played out. He basically laid it out in a way that made it very hard to ignore. Since then, Alara has been different. It wasn't immediate, but I noticed it pretty quickly. She stopped coming to me about small things. She stopped being as open. It's like there's a distance there now that wasn't there before. A few nights after that, she asked me directly if I was already with Gareth before Marielle left. I didn't answer properly. I didn't lie, but I didn't tell the truth either. I avoided it. Changed the direction of the conversation, said it was complicated. That was enough for her. Since then, she's been spending more time with Marielle. And this is another thing that's making everything harder. Marielle is not the same person she was back then. She's stable, she has a routine, a job, her own place. She's calm in a way I don't remember her being before. So now Alara is seeing a completely different version of her than the one we described for years. Caspian is also more involved than ever. Before this, he kept his distance. Now he's actively pushing things, not just emotionally, but in a way that feels planned. He brings up fairness, what happened back then, what should happen now, especially when it comes to Gareth's will. Gareth has been trying to sort things out financially, like I said before. Nothing dramatic, just planning ahead. But Caspian has made it into something bigger. He's been telling Alara that she was the one who lost the most in all of this, and that she should be the one to benefit the most going forward. And now that Alara is questioning everything, she's actually listening to that. Gareth's response to all of this has been to avoid it. He doesn't want to go back over the past. He doesn't want to argue with Caspian. He doesn't want to change anything with the will right now. He just keeps saying things will settle down, but they're not settling down. If anything, it feels like everything is starting to come apart, even in my own house. Soren has started asking questions, not in a confrontational way, just confused. He asked me the other day if Alara is really our sister or not, and I didn't know how to explain that in a way that made sense without opening everything up. Nikita has noticed the distance too. She keeps asking why Alara doesn't sit with us the same way anymore, or why she leaves the room when I come in sometimes. I don't have answers for them that don't turn into bigger conversations I'm not ready to have. Final update. A lot of people told me to just sit down with Alara and tell her the truth properly. I kept putting it off because I thought things might calm down on their own, or that Gareth would step in and handle it. That didn't happen, and now it's past the point where ignoring it is even an option. Alara isn't just distant anymore, she's actively pulling away from me. At first it was small things, eating separately, staying in her room more, not coming to me when she needed something. I tried to tell myself it was just normal teenage behavior mixed with everything Caspian told her, but then she started spending nights away more often, at Marielle's. That's new. Before all of this, her visits there were structured and planned out. Now it's like she's choosing to be there whenever she can. Weekends turn into extended stays. She'll come back, grab a few things, and then leave again. And when she is here, it doesn't feel like she's actually here. There's this tension all the time. Not loud, not confrontational, just constant. Like she's measuring everything I say or do against something she recently learned. I tried to talk to her again properly a few days ago. I told her we needed to clear things up because I could feel her pulling away and I didn't want things to get worse. She didn't argue. She didn't raise her voice. She just asked questions. Simple ones, but direct. About when exactly things started between me and Gareth. About what Marielle was going through at the time. About the custody case. I answered more than I did last time, but I still didn't fully say everything the way it probably should be said. I could tell she noticed that. It's like she's already expecting me to leave things out. After that conversation, she left to go to Marielle's again and stayed there longer than usual. That's when things got worse between me and Gareth, because he's not reacting the way I thought he would. He's not angry at Caspian. He's not shutting this down. If anything, he's pulling back. He's been going over to Marielle's more too. At first, he said it was just to check on Alara and make sure she was okay. That made sense to me. But now it's more frequent and longer. I asked him directly if he was talking to Marielle about everything that happened back then. He said yes, and that they needed to for Alara. That didn't sit right with me, because for years, that conversation never happened. Not properly. Everything was just avoided. Now suddenly it's happening, and I'm not part of it. I feel like I'm being discussed instead of included. At the same time, Caspian has gone from just telling Alara things to actively involving himself in everything. He showed up at our house last week without warning. That's never happened before. He didn't come in aggressively or anything, but he was very direct about why he was there. He wanted to talk to Gareth about making things right. I wasn't even included in that conversation. Gareth asked me to give them space. I could still hear parts of it. It wasn't emotional. It was very controlled. Caspian was talking about fairness, about how things were handled back then, about how Alara was raised with a version of the truth that wasn't complete. And then he brought up the will again, saying that if Gareth is serious about fixing things, then it should be reflected in how things are left behind, that Alara should be prioritized. Not equally, prioritized. That's the word he used. After he left, I asked Gareth what that was about. He said Caspian is just angry and trying to protect his mom and sister, but he didn't say he disagreed. That's what stuck with me. He didn't say, that's not happening, or that's ridiculous. He just said it's complicated. Everything is complicated lately. Meanwhile, this is starting to affect my kids more directly. Soren overheard part of that conversation. I didn't realize at the time, but he did. He asked me later that night if someone was trying to take things away from us. Not in a greedy way, just confused, like he's trying to understand what's going on without having the full picture. Nikita has started avoiding being around when Alara is here. She told me it feels weird now. That's the word she used. And she asked me if Alara is mad at us or just at me. I didn't know how to answer that, because I don't think it's just me anymore. I think everything is shifting. Even outside of the house, people who knew us back then are starting to hear things again. I had someone from our extended family ask me recently if everything was okay in a way that didn't feel casual, like they'd heard something. So now it's not just contained to us, it's spreading, and I can feel my control over the situation slipping completely. The biggest thing, though, is what Alara said before she left again 2 days ago. She didn't say it in a dramatic way. She just said she thinks she wants to stay with Marielle for a while. Not just visit, stay. And Gareth didn't shut it down. He said they'd figure something out. I don't even know what that means, legally or practically, but the fact that it's even being considered is enough. Because for 14 years, this was her home. And now it feels like it's not anymore.
Story Lounge opinion. It's sad that all their bad things that they have done are coming back, because now it's affecting the entire household. But it's also a good thing, and I'm happy that the brother is trying to give her the full truth, because Op was never going to tell her the truth. Hopefully, Op's sister is better now, or has worked on the lies and trauma. She deserves a chance to have a relationship with her daughter, regardless of her absence early on. Her husband should have supported her and gotten her the help she needed, instead of having an affair with her sister. At the end of the day, at least the daughter won't have grown up living from lies, and she has someone to lean on, her brother.